Okay, so today we're making an analysis of the different areas in Abuja and how it relates to the possibility of you getting a trip there. So basically what we're talking about is if you find yourself in this area, what are the chances that you're going to get a trip? Because sometimes some people get to an area and then they can't wait to get a trip. So for that reason, they quickly drive, they just idle around basically to get to any area where they can find a trip. So sometimes it's best, as a matter of fact, if you stay in a particular area, because in that you have more chances of getting a trip in that area than driving away from that spot. Okay, so um, we'll make a list of the areas and I'll give you a possible chance in terms of percentage of you getting a trip from there. Or if you find yourself in certain areas, maybe it's best to move on. Okay, all right. I'll start it off with Lugbe. Now on the Lugbe, that's the airport road. Lugbe is basically fraught with a lot and a lot of estate. It's more residential than it's actually a workspace or work area. So the chances that you will get a trip from Lugbe is actually very high, even though sometimes the trip is from one estate in Lugbe to another estate in the same Lugbe area. Okay, but the chances that you will get a trip is actually very high. So in the weekday, I would say it's still very high because a lot of people live in that area and work in town. Some people don't necessarily go to work in the morning, some go during the midday, different timings. So, but you have a very good chance if you find yourself in Lugbe, maybe stick around for a little bit before you move on. Okay? Stick around, not forever, just stick around. Let's say maybe give yourself some time. Give yourself, let's say 20 minutes. If you don't get anything within 20 minutes, then you can move on from there. And I believe the closest area to move on to would be the Dantata Bridge, under the Dantata Bridge, because that connects you to like the Sun City, Sunnyvale, the Lokogoma area basically, the Jabi area and the Lugbe area. So it all combines. It's like a central point. If you must move on from Lugbe, then that's your best option. All right. Going and then I guess next is Garaki. Garaki is your typical work environment. They have residential areas there. They have estates. They have residential buildings, but it's more of a work area than it is a residential building. Okay, so the chances that you will get on a weekday is I would peg it at 70%. I'll peg it at 70%, but as for the weekend, I'll take it down to 45%. Okay, not a very good chance that you will get something from the Garki area. Mind you, Garki is made up of area 1 through to area 11. This different, for instance, area 1 to 3 is more residential than its work. Okay, but talking about like area 7, area 11, those are more work areas, not residential areas. Okay, so that's why I'm giving it somewhere around 45% because it depends on where exactly you find yourself. All right. All right, moving on to the next one, we have Karu. Okay, now for Karu, I want to just do a compilation. I want to add Karu, Nyanya, Karushi, Orozo, those areas just close to the border areas. I just want to put everything together and say that these are more residents than work area. People reside in these places than they work in these places. Okay, I'm not saying that there are no works there. I'm just saying that most people who reside there probably work in town. It's one of the closest areas actually to your central area, Wuse, and the rest of them. So on a weekday, on a weekday, I think I'll give it a 60%. A thing with these areas is, personally, I don't want to have to comment too much on it because I feel like I've not exercised enough patience to gather the data required for me to tell you for certain what to expect in these areas. I personally don't have very good experiences going to those areas because even though it's a residential area, the other problem is these are residents, or these are people that don't necessarily suddenly want to go to town, okay? But you will always find trips here and there. Although most of the time I believe that the number of people trying to book it, there are always sometimes more than the amount of drivers you have around. Less, sorry, there are sometimes less than the amount of drivers who are, available. So the moment they are booking, somebody's picking it up. Okay, but you might actually get, that's why I'm giving it a 60% on a weekday, and even on the weekend too. I think I'll still leave it at a 60%. A very good chance that you may get, but I personally stay away from, because it's very rough. It's a very rough. It has bikes, it has kekes, it has cars. The roads are just very unsettling for me personally. So that's why I don't really go there as much. But that's not to say that there are no trips there. There are very good trips there as well. Okay, the next one is Guarimpa. Well, Guarimpa is the place that if you don't find any request in Guarimpa, I have a very good feeling you're not going to find it anywhere else. Guarimpa always has somebody going to somewhere. Guarimpa is a residential area, by the way. Also has some work in it, but mostly residents. And these are people that are residents and also have the capacity to always book boat and Uber and rides like that. Okay, unlike people in Orozo, Nyanya, and the rest of them, they are resident, but they don't preemptively just, yeah, I want to go to this place and then suddenly book boat. No. But in Guarimpa, you have a lot and a lot of people who have both the time and the capacity, because again, Guarimpa is not very far from the town area, so it's quite easy for them. So Guarimpa is by far one of your best bet when it comes to the possibility of getting a trip. When you find yourself in Guarimpa and you're not getting a trip, stay in Guarimpa, trust me, you will find one. Okay, just stay in Guarimpa. If you have to move from Third Avenue to the Sister Avenue, or from there to another avenue, but stay in Guarimpa, you will get something in Guarimpa. That's the best part about Guarimpa. In fact, I'm pegging Guarimpa at I think I'll give it like 80, maybe 90% chance of you getting a trip there. Okay. Okay, so next we have Wuse. Now Wuse has from zone 1 all the way to zone 7. Depending on where you are, the general idea though is that Wuse is a work area. For instance, if you're in zone 6 is more residential than work. But that does not mean that, well, there are no works around. Again, on the weekday, finding yourself in Wuse is a very good thing. You will always find somebody either in the Wuse market, either in the beer barn area, either in the clubs, the hotels, the many business outlets. You will always find somebody who is going somewhere. If you find yourself in Wuse on a weekday, on any weekday, you have a 90% chance of getting from point A to point B, of getting a request. However, if it's on the weekend, specifically Sunday, you don't want to find yourself in Wuse around especially afternoon time. Most people are coming to Wuse around that time. They're not really leaving. But towards the evening, you want to be in Wuse. Okay? As a matter of fact, at the dead hours of the night, for instance, 12 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whenever it is that you are at work, at the dead hours of the night, if you don't find anything anywhere else, come down to Wuse, especially around the beer barn area or the Ademola Ade Tokumbo crescent, the entire crescent, as a matter of fact. You are most likely, look, if the entire city is shut down and there's no trip anywhere, this is the only place to be around that time. Okay, so in the weekend, it's a very selective area to be in. Around certain time, not a very good idea to be found in Wuse, especially during the afternoon hours. But at night, that's the one place you are very certain you will get something. Very certain, at least to end your day. Okay? So I'll keep it at 70 for the weekend. Okay. The next is I have Guagua here. I'm not familiar with Guagua, though I hear it's close to Day, and Day is also a residential area. And it's a residential area, but these are not people that have a preemption or compulsion for booking Uber. No. I think most of them use Along. It's more easier for them. It's just not a highbrow area, so they are not looking for convenience. They just want to get from point A to point B. Okay. Kabusa. Now, Kabusa is not Lokogoma, by the way. Kabusa is an area of its own, and just like Day and the rest of them, they're not people with a tendency to book. However, Kabusa is very close to the Lokogoma area, and the Lokogoma has estate every which way. Left, right, front, back, center, every which way there is an estate in Lokogoma. So Kabusa is sitting somewhere very close to Lokogoma. So if you're in Kabusa, you might or most likely would be able to get a trip, but not necessarily in Kabusa. Not necessarily in Kabusa. You may get from a neighboring, like an estate close by. There are estates scattered around. In fact, let's just say Kabusa is estate locked. Okay, there are estates all around Kabusa, so you may get something from there. So it's anyway. It's just like saying you will get something if you're in Kabusa. Okay, but please drive away from Kabusa. Kabusa is a very rough area. If you live there, not to cast aspersion or anything, but my experience, Kabusa was really rough. I couldn't wait to just get out. It's best you are outside, in the estate areas of Lokogoma or Apo and things like that. Okay. Then we have Asokoro. Asokoro is known as one of the highbrow areas in Abuja. It's highbrow because you have most of the politicians living there. Okay. These politicians generally don't use boat and Uber. They use convoys. So the chances that you will get something in Asokoro, I will keep it at, on a weekday, I'll actually keep it at 70% because you have work areas in Asokoro. And then on the weekend, I'll go as low as saying 50%. Yeah, it's a 50-50 chance. It's not very good. It's not very good. Then we have Lokogoma that I just spoke about. Lokogoma has estate every which way. I don't think there is any other place in the city of Abuja that has more estate than Lokogoma. Lokogoma is an estate back to back. Every which way you turn, there is an estate. Okay? This is a place you want to be at every point in time except at the dead hours of the night. For some reason, people in Lokogoma don't leave Lokogoma as much when it's becoming late. When it's looking like 11, 12, your chances are very, very slim. But from the morning till before these very late hours in the day, very, very good chance that you will get something interesting from Lokogoma. In fact, if you find yourself somewhere close to Lokogoma and you're not getting any, please drive to Lokogoma. You will get something. That's a guarantee for sure. Okay, so I'll give it an 80%. Okay, except for the dead hours of the night. During the weekday, during the weekend, for the weekends are even better because you have more people there than during the weekdays. Okay. Central area work day or weekday, sorry, I will give it an 80% chance that you will get something. The work, because this the central area is a place where you have the National Assembly, you have the Secretariat, you have the Eagle Square, uh, and then it conjoins to Transcorp Hilton, and then to the other side Garaki. It's just a work area. You will certainly find somebody who wants to go from point A to point B. But during the weekend, please don't go to central area for any reason. If you find yourself in central area, go towards Maitama, which is your Transcorp area, or go towards Garaki. In fact, Garaki not so much. I think you should go more towards the Maitama area, find something there, get away from those areas and go to residential areas. That's what you want to do during the weekends, yes. So the chances you get something in the central area on the weekend, yeah, I would keep it at 40%. Okay, 30 maybe. Not a very good chance. Central area is not a very big locality. It just consists of your Aso Rock, Supreme Court, National Assembly, or Secretariat, Eagle Square. These are not places that are busy during the week. In fact, they are shut down, as a matter of fact. So 30%, if 20%, actually 0%, if I'm being honest. But yeah, Gwagwalada is the next one. I've been to Gwagwalada. I can count on one hand how many times I've been to Gwagwalada. And the one time I got a trip back from Gwagwalada was to the shop right in Lugbe. And even for that distance, it was a very good compensation. Like the fare was good. So what I realized is, for people in Gwagwalada, they actually have to plan going out of Gwagwalada to town because the distance is quite enormous. These are not people that just suddenly they just feel like, hey, let me just reach town, then they are booking to go to town. No, I doubt that that's what happens in Gwagwalada because I've been there a couple of times. I waited and waited hours and hours and nothing. Absolutely nothing. During the weekday, during the weekend, absolutely nothing. Okay. So I also think there's that situation wherein the people, the customers who are willing to go are less, way less than the amount of drivers that are available. So Gwagwalada, I think some of the people who live in Gwagwalada actually have to drive a little bit forward, maybe to that Akwa estate or that locality, the one opposite the immigration, or they drive down to Lugbe, to get their day started. Or sometimes I think they get trips for people who are going to the Abuja University and back. But then again, you're just circling around the same area. You want to come into town where the business really is. Okay, the next one is your Jabi. Jabi is vast, and I think both on a weekday and a weekend, I give it an 80%. It's a very nice area because it has the Jabi Lake Mall there, so you have people going and coming both on the weekday and on the weekends. Apart from that, it has so many hotels, so many hotels. On the left, on the right, there are hotels everywhere. Apart from that, it also is home to the famous the Koinonia people, the Christian people that Koinonia anyway. They hold their meetings there in Jabi. There's a Chida Hotel, sorry. They hold their meetings there every Sunday from 5 till I think 9, 10. So makes for a very good, wonderful, wonderful time to be around that place around that same time, around 9, 10. And then apart from that, even when they're not there, you have there's a very huge residential area in Jabi, and Jabi is also very close to Ankuru, which is Wuye, sorry. It's also close to Bega roundabout, it's close to Wuse. It's like a central district actually. So I'm giving it an 80%, both on a work day, both on a weekday or a weekend. So that's Jabi. The next is Maitama. Maitama is actually also on highbrow areas. Okay, you have people here actually. Some are booking boats, some are using their own personal vehicles, but on the weekday I'll give it a 60%. On the weekend also, on a weekday I'll give it a 70%, sorry. Then on a weekday I'll give it on a weekend, sorry, I'll give it a 60%. Not a very good chance you will get, but a very good chance as well that you will also get. Maybe I should just leave it at 70-70. Okay. Next is Buhari. Buhari, what can I say about Buhari? Buhari is also like a borderline area. I think if you're going towards Kaduna, Niger State, it's bordered by Buhari. So, Buhari, I think it's more or less like the Gwagwalada areas where if you find yourself there, your chances are very, very slim. Very, very slim. Probably a 30% chance. But sometimes you get lucky. I've gotten lucky in Buhari more than once, more than a couple of times. So that's why I'm quite confused. For Buhari, I'll keep it at 45%, both on the weekday and the weekend. 45%. Then lastly, we have Kuje. Kuje. Again, Kuje is not an area I know or frequent or been to a lot of times, but the one or two times I've been there, realized that the number of people booking are a lot less than the number of people who are actually available. So you have the struggle where there are very few customers and a lot of drivers. And also Kuje is not so close to town, so people plan their movement. People don't just go like in Gwarimpa, people just go wherever they need to go to. But if it's Kuje, you have to pre-plan properly. Okay? Don't really have that much information on Kuje, but that's the gist. Okay, so that's my analysis for these areas. I hope this helps anyway in your work routine.